been putting off this chapter for, I don't know why. You know, sometimes the things that are the most important to us, we do last. You know, everything else gets taken care of, except us. If you're offended by male nudity, do not watch this chapter. And plus, this has been renting. It's kind of a difficult chapter. I really think about it every day. You want it to be true and not delusional, not a fantasy, but what really happened. It was in Hawaii. And I'd gone broke. I'd had 3 restaurants. I was a big shot guy, and yada yada yada, and kind of an asshole, really, very materialistic, and it was all just about me. Not too much different from now, but, you know, I've softened a little bit. I lost everything. I just said, well, fuck it. I'm going to Hawaii. I was an illegal immigrant. I took off. I said, it's enough cash. Went there and got a job washing dishes. Lasted for a few days, and I rented a little place. Really nice. It was about 5 blocks from the beach. And I just thought, oh God, I'll just stay here. Hawaii was different then. And ran into some people, a bunch of artists. I ran into a bunch of artists down at the beach, so we used to meet every day at sunset and connections, and it was really kind of wonderful. And one of them knew someone that had started the pedicabs. Jimmy Pinkston and another guy had started the first pedicabs in Waikiki, and it was a great job. You had a bike. You rented your bike, so I had transportation. I paid a monthly fee, so I had it 24 hours a day. It was my bike. And then I would go out in the night and make some money, and I had a thing to run around to get groceries, and I found another apartment in about March or something. But anyway, there was a mechanic he was a Hawaiian guy, and I just, he was just my cup of tea. He was just wild and mechanical. I can't fix a screwdriver, but he could fix bikes and one of those people, in Hawaii, when the kids, imagine going to school in Hawaii, as soon as the surf's up, they're gone. It's always, you can be outside. So you're kind of raised in nature, or the rich kids, they go to private schools and, all of that. But he was just from a middle-class family, good family, but I don't think he barely knew how to read or write. But he was just one with nature. And he was just this creature that, I'd never experienced before. I was just completely infatuated with him. It wasn't until, I remember it was on St. Patrick's Day. So I'd been there about 6 months, and I'd seen him on and off for about 4 or 5 months. Chit chat, and then St. Patrick's Day, we were in all the pedicabs. We all decorated our bikes for the parade, the big parade down Kalakaua. And we had all decorated and wore green, and of course he was in the parade. And because he was in the parade, he had asked if he could stay over. He needed a place to stay because it was going to be late that night. He lived on the other side of the island. That night, he lived on the other side of the island with his parents in Kailua, and it's at night it's a bit of a haul over there. I think there's a bus after a certain time. There's no buses. Of course, stay with me. A hen into the chicken, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I was like, wow. Anyway, we had. He stayed over, and he was basically a straight guy. He had a girlfriend on the other side of the island. He had a whole life on Kailua side, and then the Waikiki side was the wild side. Anyway, we had an encounter, and it was just amazing. And I still have a picture. This back in the days when we took Polaroid pictures, and I took a picture of him, and he wrote on the back, "Don't ever leave me." And he never has, really. And that's how we met. And it was just, it was one of those relationships where we couldn't stand each other for more than about 2 or 3 days. And he'd piss me off, or we'd have a fight, and that's it, I'm done with you. I needed somebody with artistic intelligence and literate and all that. He just wasn't any of those things. Then we did miss each other, and he'd come, and we'd be, within a week or 10 days, he'd be back again. And this pattern went on for years, same pattern. And there wasn't anybody else. I know. We did everything. He took me hiking in the mountains, and we went camping up on the North Shore and Hanauma Bay, and where to find freshwater oysters over by Kailua Beach Park, underneath the bridge there, where the fresh water meets the salt water. How to fish and spearfish and everything. It was just unbelievable, and it was just every time we met, it was another adventure, and always in nature. Crazy shit. Jumping off cliffs over by Kaha or Makapu. Cliffs into the water, and I couldn't get out. It was like, how in the hell, the big waves, I thought I was going to die. And he just had absolute zest for life, living life, wild, no rules. And this went on for a long time, and it was just incredible. My place was kind of a hangout. The routine when I had the pedicab was I'd go riding in the afternoon, make a few bucks, and then all the tourists wanted to ride you around, and they'd pay you a little bit in that. And then I learned to sell pot, just little bags, especially the tourists. Canadian tourists were a piece of cake. Any young couple from Canada, they wanted to get some. At that time, Hawaii probably had the best pot in the world. And sell them at a fair price. I'd sell a couple of bags, and that would be enough. A couple of rides, a couple of bags, I'd be done. And then I had the bike 24 hours a day, so of course I'd turn it into a business, and I would rent it out to daily renters. At night I had some regular people that would come and just rent by the day. So I was, I had enough to have a nice apartment. Had a couple of roommates that slept outside in the balcony. Anything, you could live outside there. So I had a couple of sheltered patios, and I had guys renting out there. So it was really fun. Had a living room, and it was just a life. I wasn't doing anything. I did some painting, and I just was such a break from all the ambition and trying to get rich and being a broker and a banker, running around and meetings, and it was just living. It was absolutely marvelous. Probably the best time of my life for just living, stress-free. You're getting stoned at night, and beautiful guys, and I was gorgeous, and I was surfing and tanned, and it was just wonderful, absolutely wonderful, beyond words. So the relationship was very strange. I was doing getting stoned. I wasn't drinking. I just get stoned in the afternoon. I love getting high. It's so much better than alcohol. Alcohol is a really fucking awful one, and all the chemicals and all that crap. I'm going to do a chapter just on drug abuse, addiction, depression, and all that stuff. All the stuff that I pretty much dealt with all my life, and how I learned to manage it. I love this park. It's just so Canadian. People from all over the world, families, and cool, fresh air, clean air, and safe. So the reason that it's hard is because it meant so much to me. And I think maybe it was the best, most truest love of my life. It was the real Romeo and Juliet, even with the tragic ending. And it's hard. I don't want to corrupt it by even doing this, but I think it's a story, and it's an important part of me. So we had it just was ongoing, and I was working and having friends. That's when I ended up getting married. A friend of mine married me for immigration. Got my U.S. Social Security. I didn't want to ever be an American, really. I just wanted to be able to work legally. And that sort of changed things a little bit, and that was later on. Anyway, Gino and I just, every time we saw each other, it was just more intense. It was quite something.
Kahi kamana
went on for several years, and I just was doing a bit of art, a bit of painting, just really having fun and not really doing anything. Spending a lot of time learning about metaphysics, and there are a lot of interesting people in Hawaii, and we met every day at sunset. So I kind of had a gang, and I had some roommates. You don't bother with the roommates, they're always annoying. Something about being a roommate, just you want as little to do with them as possible. But it paid the rent. One bedroom too, amazing. Now everybody needs their own room and their bathroom and their own big screen TV. We had no TV, we had no radio, we had nothing. We were on the ground floor and there was a walled-in garden, but you could jump over the wall. So you couldn't keep anything valuable in your place because somebody would steal it. So we had, the pot was hidden away. Pretty good. But it was just a different life. No, we had a landline, I think. But I never phoned anybody. I still hate the phones. People yapping on the phones. Christ. Yada, yada, yada. And long distance was so expensive. I stayed in touch with friends by writing letters to a few friends that I had. You'd write a letter and you'd get one back in 2 weeks, and that kind of thing. It was sort of nice. Anyway, Gino lived on the other side of the island. Well, I knew that he had drug problems, but I didn't know what they were. Never really talked about it. He knew I smoked pot. He didn't really like pot or drinking, but he had something. He said, why don't you come around? He said, well, because he's doing drugs. Terrible. So anyway, it turned out, and it's horrible to have to admit this, but he was actually occasionally was still sniffing paint.
Life of this land.
I said, well, if you got to do it, you can come here. Who am I to judge? At least he's here, he's safe. So he did show up one time, and it was just awful. And I thought he was going to fucking die. I called an ambulance, and of course, so that was the last time he ever came around on that stuff. It was horrible, and a lot of the young people there did that. I don't know why it was. Kind of the rage. I saw it once in one time I was going to Veracruz, and I was at I'd taken the bus to Veracruz from Mexico City, and I was waiting in the bus station for the guy, my friend, this is doctor, to show up, and I saw all these kids. They were doing the same thing around the bus station. And nobody was doing anything. They were doing it right out in the open. They had the bags. And I thought, oh my God, somebody's got to do something. But I don't know. They just let you do whatever there. It's horrible. Kills your brain cells and everything. It's hard to even imagine. So anyway, that was. It's embarrassing to even mention it, that I could be in love. But when you're in love with somebody, you're in love with somebody. That's it. They're a part of you. So this went on for several years. I didn't know about the sniffing till near the end. Anyway, I was doing some other shit, some stupid jobs. I did all these stupid jobs. I didn't care. I even did, one time I handed out flyers for time-sharing, free breakfast scam. Horrible. They were all, the people that were doing that were all doing cocaine. So thank God. I knew that I had an addictive nature. And so I was very careful about what I did. I never did any chemicals like cocaine or speed or any of that kind of stuff, because I knew that I'd smoke cigarettes, and I was up to 2 packs a day. And later on, when I started drinking, when I was a big shot banker, and I got onto the free scotch and shit, I became an alcoholic. So I just knew, be careful. And the pot was okay, you get high and whatever. I mean, back then there was the war on drugs, but we all knew there was nothing wrong with it. It's nothing more natural, really. So, anyway, near the end, it just was, I don't even know what to say. There's a lot of stuff that we did that it's just very personal. It's just very amazing. Sex is not about, it's a physical act, but it's not about the physicality. He was a straight guy, so we were pretty limited in what we could do, but that didn't matter because it was it's a spiritual and emotional connection with the other person, even though it was quite limited in the physical activity. He was a straight guy. We never even kissed. Couldn't kiss. So, in Hawaii, if you kiss somebody, that means you're gay. So you can do everything as long as you don't kiss. I don't know, it's a weird culture. But anyway, and he had a girlfriend the whole time. He was sleeping with a girlfriend. The thing that I think I was capable of trusting him, most gay guys, I wouldn't trust them for 5 minutes. They're all just whatever, most of them, at least back then. I think AIDS straightened people out a lot. That came later when I was in Hawaii, and I know I changed my behavior immediately. And those that didn't are dead. So I'd had this one job just for change. I still had my bike, and I used to rent it out and ride once in a while for transportation. It was just kind of fun. Mostly renting it out on a daily basis, and I found jobs I'm making quite a bit of money doing this, that, and the other. And I got this job painting the ballroom at Edgewater Beach Hotel. And anyway, we did some really, really crazy shit. I remember one time we were riding around on our pedicabs. There was a thing, you got really good at riding, you could get them up on 2 wheels on the side and then go right down the road. It was fucking crazy. Not with anybody in the back. I think I did it once with somebody in the back, and they were fucking hysterical. But you could balance the thing. Anyway, one time we were, Gino and I, he had gotten a bike for the night, and we were riding around, chasing around people. We'd pick up a couple of rides, and that would be enough. You charge them $10 or $20. But you do that every night. It's enough to live on there. We were riding around. One time he went riding around all these crazy things, and we cut into this parking lot, and there was a gate on the blocking the gate, and he just went right through it. It splintered everywhere. God, I wish I'd had that on video. It was so funny. He just was fearless, absolutely fearless. It was so admirable and so in touch with nature. And he may be the only really true bisexual man that I ever met in my life. Most of them are just using that as a bullshit excuse for, so they can tell their friends, well, I sleep with girls too. You know what I mean? It's kind of annoying. There's not too many real ones.
Wala ba mato ikapoha
And the funny thing is the real ones are kind of rejected by both sides because the straight people think, well, you shouldn't be doing that, and the gay ones thinking you're fake, and you know. So I think it was just he was just so natural. What happened at the end, I was working and he'd disappear. He used to disappear for a week or 10 days at a time, and then we couldn't live without each other, and he'd show up and I would phone him or he'd phone me or whatever, and we'd get connected. It just was going to go on forever. There's no reason why it wouldn't. Anyway, he got in trouble. He was always in trouble for something. You know, his uncle was the chief of police on Maui. His dad was the head of security for the big Exxon refinery. And his mother was a big shot director of Bank of Hawaii. So it was a good family. And I think maybe they got him out of trouble when he got in trouble, and the police were a little more lenient. But he pulled some stunt. And he used to do, you know, one time we were at Hanauma Bay. You know, he had his own little perversions too. We all do. And the more you know somebody, the more you find out about them. And you just accept them. That's what makes even if you don't agree with it, it makes them who they are. So I remember one time we were at Hanauma Bay and we were snorkeling out there. Now it's all like a park and you got to pay and controlled. And it was just, back then it was just, you could just go and it was very natural. Lots of fish. They stopped feeding the fish, so now there's hardly any fish. So I don't know what the fuck. They say it's protecting the coral, but I don't know. There's a lot of fish in there. Not much anymore. Not worth going. There's more up in the North Shore, I think. So we'd been snorkeling, and there was this gorgeous guy in a Speedo. It must have been from France or something. This gorgeous guy, and we took him out. There was a way to go out through the channel where you could go out into the deep part. Everybody stayed in the shallow, but the deep part was really exciting, and it was a narrow channel where you could go through strong currents, but if you knew what you were doing, you'd get out there. So we took him out there and we were diving, and he was just like one of these perfect specimens. So we went back, and that's it. You know, he went back to the beach and see you later. It was visually quite exciting. Anyway, he went to the bathroom, and I found out later, he told me later, that he jerked off in the bathroom, in his public bathroom. So I guess that was one of his deals, was a bathroom deal. Not for me. Just not into that. But for whatever reason. And so he had that, and he had he had all this shit going against him. No education, probably illiterate, but he could make anything. One time he made us a stereo out of, there was some broken stereos and a TV in the garbage, and he took parts out of all three of them and made us a little radio. Like, he could do that kind of stuff. You know, I can barely. It was all on Oahu. You know, Oahu, when you get away from all the tourist stuff, there's waterfalls that we hiked to up in the mountains. Nobody will ever find them. Way back up on the other side, on the Ku'ulaus. Beautiful waterfalls, and you could see in the forest that it once had been irrigated because there was papaya trees that were planted in rows. So it must have been an old Hawaiian plantation back up in there where there was lots of rain. one time, and I didn't even know it had happened, he got in trouble, and it was in the public bathroom at the Hyatt downtown, and I'm sure he was. And we used to go to the hotels to steal toilet paper sometimes. You know, we did everything. We were just different time. So I don't know if he was in there stealing toilet paper. Anyways, in the ladies' bathroom at the Hyatt. Oh, fuck. And somebody came in, Japanese woman, and saw him and started screaming, and I think he took a swing at her, hit her. Well, it's felony assault. He's fucked. And especially against the Japanese, because they were really sucking up to all the Japanese tourists at that time. All the big tours were coming in. Japan was buying everything, and non-stop Japanese tourists to Hawaii. It was a big moneymaker for them. And don't fuck with the tourist. Big mistake. So I have to tell you about when I was painting the ballroom. It was the night before he had to go to court, and I was painting this big ballroom, and I'd had a couple of helpers, and we just finished off. I was just finishing off a second layer. I had a big pole and doing the scene. I did the whole ballroom in about 8 hours. 3 guys. Nicely done. And you know, they paid cash. And the ballroom was facing the ocean. It was up on the second floor above what used to be a cafeteria restaurant. I don't know if it's still there. And it had big 2-story windows that opened up to the ocean. So you could hear the waves. And I had the windows open for ventilation. And it was one of those, like, you couldn't have made this in the movie. There was a moon, almost a full moon, coming out. Enough to light up the room, really, almost, and the wind and the warm breeze from the ocean, and he found me. He'd asked around where I was, and he found me. It was about 11:30 at night. I didn't know where the hell he was, and he found me. And he'd come to say goodbye. And, you know, we were found a place. There's nobody around. All the lights were out. And so we were on the floor in the middle of the ballroom, you know, with the ocean and the moon and the breeze. And had sheer curtains that were blowing in the wind. You couldn't have made this set in a movie. Unbelievable. And that time he kissed me. And he said, "I love you." And it's the first time that he'd ever kissed me and said that. I'll tell you the rest of the story, what happened in the next chapter. I'm going to put a nude picture in here of us together. If anybody's offended, oh, I'm too fucking bad. You know, get over yourself.
That's all, folks.